So, I want to welcome everyone here to this beautiful YouTube live coming from my Druid Den here in Costa Rica. And tonight, for the second annual Christ Mass Activation Midnight Sermon, and also honoring the Solstice portal, which we have recently gone through and are still feeling the energies of. Alright, so I'm getting some comments that things are sounding great on my fancy headphones, someone says. Excellent. So welcome, and let us start by finding ourselves into a beautiful meditation. So I invite you, wherever you are coming from in the world. Here in Costa Rica, we are just 10 p.m. and a lot of my viewers come from Eastern Canada, so they are around 11:30, and this broadcast will be taking them and all of us eventually through the midnight portal as we pass through this beautiful Christmas Eve into Christmas Day. So I invite you, wherever you are coming from, to take a moment just to close your eyes and begin to center yourself in your holy breath. Let's take a moment to just breathe in deeply into our blessed body, and take a moment just to let a sigh be released, and allow this sigh to be a beautiful releasing of any tension that you've been gathering in your day. We can breathe in together. Breathing in again and releasing a nice sigh. Breathing in. Begin to imagine now that you are tuning into your inner world, just allowing your body to soften into this moment, using your loving awareness to just scan your body from head to toe. And just allowing any tension to soften. You can continue using the sighing breath if you find there's a lot of tension within you. And when you feel nice and relaxed in your center, I invite you to take your awareness now into the center of your chest, into your holy heart center. Begin to imagine that your heart center is shining like a blessed star of light. According to the ancient Gnostics, within our hearts is the epinoa, the divine spark that was placed there and cultivated by our universal mother, Gaia Sophia. And imagine that this spark of source light is shining with a radiance that is eternal, never ending, infinite and intimately connected with that unified source realm that allows us, when we go deeply into our hearts in contemplation and meditation, to feel the sweet sense of unity, which is often felt as a bubble of bliss, a liberation from the limitations of our hardened, egoic minds, the rigid boundaries of our conditioning, our self-identity, melting here in the solace of soul, where our radiance can pour over the ramparts of egoic selfhood and begin to blend and merge with a cosmic consciousness. This is the essence of what is known as Christ, which according to the ancient Gnostic mystery schools was a term that meant anointed one, analogous to the term Buddha, which also means in some canons, some teachings, anointed one. When we come into this essence of the heart and we feel this sweet unity with all things, when we remember this oneness that we are native to, that we actually are in essence, we are so anointed in the truth of our ultimate reality. This is the energy that the great ones like Yeshua, Gautama Buddha, Magdalena, countless other mystics, known or forgotten, embodied, emanated in writings, in teachings, in songs, in prayers, that when tasted in our present mortal self, brings a feeling of salvation, for we feel the saving of this beauty of knowing at our essence we are connected to something so cosmic, so beautiful. And the feelings of love within our heart now begin to brim beyond the romantic fancies that often modern culture programs our sense of love with something much more transcendent and heroic, as we feel love as something now galactic, pervasive, eminent, all-encompassing, ensouling all that is, in the warmth of unconditional compassion and acceptance. Feeling your heart emanating all of these wisdoms, knowings to every cell in your being, until all of you is shining in the splendor of this Christ light, this essential radiance. And as you bask in this shimmering light, I invite you to proudly, joyfully shine this universal love from your heart out into the space you are in, out into the world, to raise the frequencies, to raise the vibrations of all creation. And as I open to an invoking song to carry this prayer further, maintain this energetic possibility. Feeling that light of your essence, beholding it humbly, lovingly. Claiming it, owning it. It's the sacredness of your soul that shines bridging back into the body through the breath, breathing deep into the belly, returning to this space. As you gently start to open your eyes, returning here with me in this co-created vibration. So here we are, Christmas Eve night, such a sweet night. As I take a sweet sip of my cacao. So, all over the world, our Christian family devotedly celebrates this day as the birth of Jesus Christ, or our brother Yeshua, as many Gnostic Christians and other forms of mystical Christians are also coming into the fold. And let us not feel any lines of division between all of this. We are in an age of remembering so much, so many ancient wisdoms. As the gecko chirps in Costa Rica, we see that as a confirmation of truth. And it is really such a blessed time, despite all the chaos that is happening in the world, which we unconditionally accept and embrace. But those of us who are ardently on this path of essence of spirit, we know that beneath it all there is something so profoundly wonderful happening on the planet. And in some ways it is the activation of what some might call Christ consciousness. This more mystical notion that we find from the ancient wisdom of the Gnostics, voices that were forgotten in the evolution of empire, forces of tyranny that sought to silence some of the more mystical voices. And now in this great age of remembrance, many of these voices are rejoining us in a great chorus of understanding. And it can be challenging, it can be triggering, because many of our belief systems are being teased and tickled to be more open and mercurial to this collective evolution into the mystery of what can be pioneered, what can be made anew, which is so much the zeitgeist of this age of Aquarius, the spirit of that pioneer. Hence the mystery schools, the mysteries, these ancient notions that there is infinite knowing to discover in a universe that always has more playful space of mystery to unfold our understanding into. I was raised Catholic, and there are parts of that that I am very grateful for, and other parts that were very challenging. But Jesus as a being was very seated in my consciousness from a young age. But for me, it wasn't until I became older and went through a spiritual awakening that Jesus began to appear in my life in a more connective way through studying more of the mystical texts. And I know that's not the path for all. But for the sake of just sharing a bit of my own story, it was studying a lot of those alternative gospels, the Nag Hammadi library, these stories that brought me into more of a brotherly connection of Yeshua. And I'd like to share some of those wisdoms with you tonight because I have found that they are very inspiring. And I can't really continue speaking about Jesus, Yeshua, without also mentioning the great remembering of Magdalene and the divine feminine in this era where women especially are coming into roles of leadership and empowerment after all the wiles of patriarchy have vitiated, weakened their power, and weakened men's power too, because humanity is men and women standing in union together. Not necessarily romantic union, but a partnership-based culture of co-creation, collaboration, of ennobling each other through complementary opposition that does not divide and antagonize, but rather seeks to harmonize and enthuse each other through the beautiful differences that we present. This is why for many people, many women as well especially, one could say the second coming was not of a man as Jesus, but the second coming in some ways is a remembering of Magdalene and the divine feminine. For the stories of Magdalene humanize Jesus. They bring forth the notion that perhaps he had a deep and intimate partnership with a woman. Hence why a lot of our relationships are dovetailing with ideas of conscious partnership, of bringing our relationships into deep, sacred, psychological, evolutionary work to model, perhaps, or to be inspired by the paragon, the model of Jesus and Magdalene. So we honor Magdalene for being a part of what this energy of Christ is. For in my heart mind, from my own work and discoveries and studies, I really believe Christ is Jesus and Magdalene together. It is an energy that they fused together and brought together and grew together. And they were awakening and showing a path to humanity that was not necessarily new, but was re-enthused, reinvigorated. It is the same path of Gautama Buddha and his wife Yasodhara. And it's interesting that the women are often forgotten in these stories. And if you follow my work, you know this book I constantly mention called Passionate Enlightenment by Tibetan Buddhist scholar Miranda Shaw. And she shows in this book and her friendship with the Dalai Lama that there are many texts that are being recovered that show that Gautama Buddha shares that his first enlightenment was with his wife in the bedchamber through the interweaving of their sacred energies and sacred sexuality. And it was then that they both raised their vibration into a more expansive, enhanced consciousness. But that's a whole other topic. And what I really want to focus on is this energy of Christ, as I mentioned in our opening meditation, meaning anointed one. But another beautiful teaching that I discovered in studying the Gnostic wisdom that was housed in the Nag Hammadi Library Codex, these fragmented scriptures and wisdom teachings that were discovered in 1945 and are just now really getting their light, the light shone upon them. In these ancient texts, we discover the wisdom of the mystery schools, the wisdom of those that were forgotten in the oppressive currents of history. And the Gnostics, those mystical seers that had a very intimate relationship with the divine, they did not necessarily need to rely on external authorities like a priestly caste. To be a Gnostic meant some who was self-governed and self-initiated, as having a oracle thorough line from their heart to the divine themselves. And this is the definition in my mind of being a mystic. It's someone who has this personal experience of the divine because they feel, they know, they hear the divine whispering in their own hearts, as the Taoists would say. And according to the Gnostics, the energy of Christ is a remembering of our essence. It's a remembering and a reminder of who we really are. So when we see the story of Jesus encapsulated in the beautiful verses of the Bible, and we are dazzled by the love that Jesus embodies For me, it is the love that he embodies that is the most profound of all, beyond his ethical discourses, his piercing, luminous wisdom teachings. It's that love that he emanated for all beings. A love that he felt even for those who would eventually seek violence and do violence upon him, such as one of the most heroic anecdotes in his fragmented story when he is on the cross and his mortal body is perishing, and he asks for forgiveness of his oppressors, saying, "They know not what they do. They act in unconsciousness, in ignorance," and he prays the divine to have compassion for them. Just take a moment to breathe that energy in, for that energy is within your heart as well. We all have the heroic, even seemingly irrational ability to love those things in our world that are most monstrous. And if you take stock at what is happening in our world right now, for me, one of the most grave sufferings that is happening is we are being programmed, bullied even, to hate each other, to hate the other. The media, the governments, the politicians constantly parade us, besiege us with the pains of the world. But they do not do this in a wise sense, as a Buddhist would be to look into the pain, to understand the pain, to use suffering as a teacher, as an alchemist. Nay, it's to manipulate, to jostle us into further pain, and pain that will lead us to hate others who we are told are projecting that pain upon us. And this is causing so much conflict in the world. And this is where the teachings of mystics like Yeshua, Magdalene, and all the other mystics who brought forth this deeper, more universal religion of love are so misunderstood, because the call of Christ in us, that call to our essence, that divine spark, that epinoa that I referenced in our opening meditative prayer as we pass now into the midnight hour, fittingly in this defining moment of Christ, that essence is soul. Soul is source light. All of us are of the same source, the same light, the same divine parentage. All of us, we are one family. And the energy of Christ brings us to that remembrance. But the Gnostics took it deeper in a very important nuance, for they knew the vainglory of the human supremacy complex of being too concentrated on simply seeing our humanity as the unitive potential. For we are one with all life. The animals, the plants, the waters, the trees, the stars, the planets, all of it is our one family, our universe. We need to nourish that knowing, that cosmic sensibility, in order to activate this latent power of Christ within all of us. Yeshua was not here to have himself worshipped as an idol. He spoke of that very vehemently, in fact. One could argue that the Bible, for all its beatific truths, also ensnares us in the trap of its redactions, and hence why the alternative gospels that have been discovered, in my humble opinion, need to be embraced as part of that beautiful canon of our spirituality. For in some of those alternative tales, like the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the Gospel of Philip, we find teachings that bring a much more universal understanding of Christ. When we feel that kinship within ourselves, when we restore ourselves as being one family with all life, when we act from that place, every action, every breath, how can we commit violence upon another when we are all family? Our hearts are impoverished. We need to become wealthy again in heart. We need to nourish our hearts with what is paradoxically already within them. This is what made Yeshua, Magdalena, and all the great ones so captivating. Because when they would speak and transmit these truths, it was felt. They were simply turning on a light, a switch within ourselves. Yeshua didn't want to be worshipped. One of the most enigmatic teachings he gave in the Bible was that ye are all gods. We are all gods. Gods in the sense of stepping into our full power as being a part of God. All of it is within. We all have the same beautiful powers, beautiful virtues, beautiful potentials that Yeshua had. He was simply wanting to remind us, for us to join him in that sacred brotherhood, that sacred humanity, so we could too live lives of magnificent love and wisdom, to be like a son, a daughter of God as he remembered, and as we are now offered to remember. So as we pass through this holy day of Christ Mass, we also acknowledge that this day is very coalesced with the winter solstice, which for the ancient pagan or indigenous European world had very synonymous teachings about the rebirth of the light. This was the longest days of darkness of the year. But it wasn't a darkness that made them fear, ooh, the darkness. The sun is so far away. It will soon be vanquished. No, they knew. And so they celebrated. This is the moment when the light starts to return. And we realize it can never die. The unconquerable sun. And what is symbolically synonymous with the light of the sun? God and the light in our souls. The winter solstice reminds us that that light is imperishable. It is invincible. It is eternal. So rather than dreading the darkness was honored as playing a role, a part in this drama of the waning light that then turns around and begins its heroic comeback. Eventually, in the ultimate victory of the summer solstice, when the light is at its most splendorous. The teaching that the winter solstice gives us is that light is eternal. No matter what happens in life, that light will never be completely put out. It is also the energy of resurrection. And in this great age of remembering, that sense of our mystical souls is being resurrected in all of us. And so, for me, in my humble opinion, the second coming is, as many other great visionaries have said, is the return of a consciousness, a state of consciousness, a knowing that, yes, I am part of this one verse, this universe, this great universal song of unparalleled divine harmony. A harmony that we are just now starting to remember from all the obfuscations of modernity that has tried to persuade us that we live in this mechanistic world of war and division. And yet even our sciences are revealing that the essence of our material world is a vibrating phantasmagoria of sweet, intelligent design of such brilliant genius that we're brought into reverence to behold the interdependent physics of ecstatic life, all entangled and woven as one. Hence why most scientists who go deep into that quantum realm become mystics, because they see the beauty of that oneness. So, with all of that said, the chat is open, and I invite anyone, if you have any questions or comments, to place them in the chat. And soon, I'm going to start making some sacred sound to further this activation. So I'll just wait a moment. Maybe as that's happening, I'm just going to draw up a poem that I wrote. Let's see here. Okay, let me just find this search. Ode. So before I enter into sound, let me read this poem that I wrote. Oh, okay, wait. Some beautiful comments are coming through. Someone asks, I'm unfamiliar with the Gospel of Philip. Would you have a summary? Well, it was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, I believe, or the Nag Hammadi, one of those two alternative texts. And I just encourage you to read it and Google it for yourself, because there's so many beautiful teachings, but it does contain the very bold anecdote of Jesus and Mary Magdalene kissing on the lips, which opens up the whole potential of their romance, which is so beautiful. Oh wow, thank you for all these beautiful comments. Oh, thank you all so much. So I'll read this poem before we do just a bit of closing sound to further the activation. And this is called Ode to Christ Consciousness. It is here. Here in the holy silence that is a womb the size of worlds, where this spring blossom of the stars, watered by the tears of the Great Mother, is barely beginning to rise from the shadows of soil into the light of our awareness. Some call it the return of Christ, and we must be careful with that, for this birth is not to be merely ensnared by the cunning of concepts, nor the branding of words, for that is but a tragic limiting of the living flow of the infinite, now cresting across the shores of our attention. But for the sake of a crumb of concept, to satiate the idolatry of the intellect grown so cultish in the hubris of the rational, far from the return of a phantom man, it is the awakening of a new consciousness, paradoxically ancient. For as the Gnostics decreed, Christ is a remembering of what we really are. And that is divine. And that's wonderfully for each of us to discover. But don't seek to be solely satisfied by trying to grip it with the vice of thoughts. You might find there sparks, and sweetly so, but the great incandescence sings in the subtleties, moans in the mercurial, giggles in the falling leaves. In that holy silence when we sit and unwind the dominion of thoughts, without aim or goal, simply a little inner adjustment, a psychic posture, and quietly, gracefully, it will begin to overtake us like a warm rain, gently sprinkling on a sunny day from furtive clouds. We will notice it by the tiny seed of joy that opens in our heart, yet a joy unlike any other, a bubble of bliss, a hum of heaven, and we will feel a wonderful congress between beauty and truth, and we will never ever wish to stray from this halcyon. And yet, we inevitably shall, because just like children learning to walk, we are new to this. We will also learn just as surely to be with this evermore. Part of our learning will be discovering with a gasp that all of these marvels of technology This culture of social media and constant posturing and busyness is actually a dastardly distraction from this garden of holy silence. So too are all the clamors of the supposed world collapse. For the embrace of this Christ within, this divine humanity remembering, we will realize that the collapsing world is but the old being transmuted by this new spirit. A natural and galactic procession. For this bloom is not just in all of us, but glimmers in the very changing world and the cosmos itself. Then we can put fear to rest and trust that this is merely the shaking off of old skins. And our time is much better spent putting down phones, closing computers, lulling our self-absorptions asleep, aiming our sacred attention to rest in the depths of our shining souls, beyond the tangles of thought. There we can sit in the throne of this newness, and over time, with devotional hours, days, and more spent in the arms of this sweet bloom, we will marvel as that little joy, that babe of blessing, begins to grow its garden in our hearts, in our bodies, as our cells begin to vibrate and regenerate by the melodies divine, singing in the nectar of our breath, in the sparkle of the ethers, in the benediction of our being. So let us conclude our Christ Mass, solstice honoring together with sacred sound itself, as I humbly aim to channel the energy of Christ through song, through prayer and vibration. I invite you to once again close your eyes, connect to this breath that weaves you with the one breath of life. Feel that kinship with every breath, that woven world. And as you enter within your blessed body, bringing waves of loving awareness with you to wash across the shores of every cell of your being, letting out an ebullient sigh, releasing any burden, any heaviness in soul out into this woven world to be made lighter. Come now into the citadel of your heart, the temple of your light, where the essence of Christ, the remembering of your sacred humanity, your sacred aliveness, glistens forevermore. See yourself entering into the light of your heart, into the energy of Christ, as if 1,000 candles have have been lit all at once. Feel the light of your radiant soul being embraced by the universal light of all life, all creation, as you enter into that world of unity of soul and spirit. Calling on the great ones to step into your heart to celebrate this rechristening, this remembering, inviting Yeshua, Magdalene, and all the other magnificent ones that inspire this sacred essence to be with you, to enthuse with you, to activate with you this remembering of who we really are. From this space of deep and luminous presence, let us listen. taste of love. That love in your heart, graceful, immense enough to love the whole world, to ensoul it with love. For you are that great, that possible, that magnificent, and that divine. For the love of your heart to hold the whole world in its embrace. So do it now with all of us together, holding the world in the light of the love of Christ, of the essence of our holy humanity. Feeling that light, being that light. So you draw your hands over your chest, bringing a smile to your blessed face, feeling that essence of Christ within you. Feeling the power of Yeshua, the power of Magdalene as you. Merry Christ Mass indeed. Releasing the hands, breathing a final breath here with intention into your heart, and exhaling a sigh of universal loving light out to the world. Coming back, opening your eyes. Thank you everyone so much for joining me on this sacred holy night. Christmas Eve now, Christmas. From my heart to yours, I'm wishing you the most beautiful holy days, all days, to be bridal to, yes, your family of blood and lineage, as many share in these days, but to remember the family that is all as you walk the streets, as you walk the wilderness, and feel that kinship of the one one family in the one light. Keep loving in this infinite way till it is simply your nature, your remembrance ever lived.